friends and fellow hobbyists, welcome to another episode of Car Dreams in Styrene. I'm your host, Gary G, and these are the topics of today's show. The riddle, the Mc Carthy Racer, the story behind the build, functional doors. This week we're looking for a word. This word has 7 letters. And the 4th letter is a R. This is a material that we use very common in our builds. As always, the answer at the end of the show. Here in the garage we start a brand new build. It's gonna be a F1 racer. Formula 1 is very popular here in Europe. It's like the NASCARs in America and millions of people watch it. First thing I started to glue together the engine block. Since that engine is anyway hidden under the body, it's not too detailed. Now it was time to give the engine finally the color that it needed. I'm painting some more parts of the engine. Now it's time to mount the exhausts. This is one of the air channels. I mean, this car basically is one big air channel. So you see just air scoops all over. So last step, we mounted the engine in the chassis, and now back to the studio. Okay, topic of this week. Well, this week I want to talk about the new build. The new build is called the Mc Carthy Racer. And now we have to go back on a different episode to figure what is actually that mean. Well, let him talk. By the way, thank you, Charlie, for the girls. So, you see, this guy sent me some nice pictures and wanted to use that. So that's why this build is called the Mc Carthy Racer, because he was kind enough to send me those stickers which gonna end up on this build. But now back to the garage. Okay. Here in the garage, we continue with the Mc Carthy Racer. Here we're mounting the air scoops. The fuel lines needed to be painted. As well as the upper part of the gearbox. And some more fresh air for the engine to cool down a bit. Time to assemble the rear axle. And put some paint on it. Time to mount that whole thing in the chassis. Well, that seat don't look too comfortable to me, but yeah, he just has to win the race, I guess. All the steering, including all the engine, gearbox, commandos, that all comes from the steering wheel in these cars. Don't look like there's space for big boys. You have to be very slim to drive those cars. Last step and finish is the front axle. And final step for this week, mounting the air scoop for the engine intake. Okay, this week in tips and tricks, another chapter in functional doors. Well, this week I want to talk about the so-called suicide doors. I guess they are named after the fact if you open the door the other way around like this and you drive, you can't jump out because your own door will slap you. I guess that's where it comes from. So either way, we want to do like suicide doors this week. This time we want to do a different hinge though. We want to do a hinge where we can actually pull out the door this way. Let's see if I can get closer. Yep. Okay. the hinge that we're looking for looks actually like this. So, where we should set our bands. Okay, first band goes up like this. Then the next one goes like this. We end up with something like that. Then the next one goes like this. And we end up with something like that. And then we do another one like this. And then you have it like that. Okay. And then what we make here is a little noodle thing here. So now I want to explain a little bit which band and what is what. So of course here our first one is to actually hook it in to the door like that, and then you can move it this way. So you don't want to make that too short, because then you have not enough support in the door and it kind of wackles. You don't want to make it too long neither, because then you don't get enough room to actually slide the door out, which works even with doors with the window frame like here. You usually get enough space to still slide the door out. Of course, the other 3 bands or 2 bands, I explained that like last week already, and you might ask yourself now, what is that little swirly noodle here? So this is a different kind to fix actually that whole thing on the car. So what you're gonna do is you put some epoxy on here and you just glue it that way on your body. So this is a different kind to do it. I thought I want to show something different. Of course you could do it just like with tubes as well, but wanted to show, like if you do suicide doors, I want to show a different kind of hinge as well. So I hope it was a little bit informative for you this week. This was the tips and tricks for this week. I'll see you next week. Bye. Did you guess what it actually was? So another episode of Cut Dreams in Styrene is gone. I hope it was a little bit informative for you. I hope you liked the hinging and the outcome of the Mc Carthy Racer so far. We continue next weekend. Speaking of next weekend, see you next weekend. Don't forget to tune in. And as always, love and friendship is something you can't buy. Respect all people. Keep that hobby alive. See you next weekend. Your host, Gary Adams.